Hi everyone, it's Trishna. Happy Saturday. I hope you've had a really good week. It feels like a long time since I've talked to you, but it was really just last Saturday because I do these lives every Saturday, but it feels a little bit longer than that. So, how have things been? If you're on replay, go ahead and say hi. I will be responding to comments afterwards. And if you're not watching this where it's going live, like if you're not watching this in the Facebook group, and you're interested in joining these conversations live and having that kind of interaction and back and forth, then go ahead and join the Facebook group, and the link will be below somewhere, depending on what platform you're watching this on. Yeah, how have you been? It's been a little bit cold and rainy over here, but the sun's finally coming out and there's beautiful sunlight like coming in. So I thought this is a good time to go ahead and do my live. So today what we're going to be talking about is affirmations. The other day I had a comment from one of my subscribers and they asked me, do affirmations actually work? And that's what I want to talk to you about today is, do they actually work? And what can you do to make them work more effectively for you? The answer to do they actually work is yes, affirmations do actually work. Now, affirmations is not the predominant process that I use when I'm trying to create my reality and work with the law of attraction. But I do know people personally, and I have seen other people less personally, but that I've interacted with, who really use affirmations, really subscribe to that, really believe in that, and that is their predominant form of manifestation work. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what they are doing differently, what that you may not be doing, and that may be why affirmations are not working for you and you're seeing it working for other people. So, all right. The first thing is when you're working with the law of attraction and you're trying to attract anything that you're looking for, anything that you want for your life, there are so many processes that are out there. And ultimately, you need to find the one that works best for you. So if you're interested in affirmations, if you're excited about it, if that's what you feel called to use, then go ahead and start with that. But just understand that we're all very different. We all have very different personalities, and we all interact with the universe in unique ways that are specific to us. So try the affirmations if that's what you feel called to. I'm going to share how to make them successful for you. But if it's really not your method, that's okay. I have other methods that I share on my YouTube channel and my Law of Attraction playlist. And I will also link that below somehow, depending on the platform, for you to go ahead and see my process and what's really worked for me. So that's just something for you to keep in mind. But it doesn't matter what you choose, whether it's something else, scripting, visual, what I call vision boards, or visualizing, or affirmations. Doesn't matter what you pick. If you really want to manifest something into your life, it's really important that you have a practice that works for you and that you understand that it is a process and it isn't just a one time done and done, gone and done, or whatever. Sometimes your manifestations will happen that quickly. And the reason for that is we'll kind of get into that as we talk about how to make these affirmations work for you. But sometimes that's not going to be, it's not going to be that quickly. And we'll talk about that as well. So you really want to find a practice, you really want to commit to something because just like anything else, if you want to have success with anything that you do have to put in a commitment. So that's something that I think sometimes we don't always realize is if you're new to the law of attraction, it is a commitment that you want to work on at least every other day if you really want to bring something into your life. Okay, so there's that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, I guess, the spiritual work and the reality work before we get a little bit deeper into affirmation specifically. So, when it comes to the law of attraction, there are multiple layers. There's the spiritual layer, and then there's the physical layer, just like everything else, as above, so below. And there's that vibrational layer, and again, the physical realm. And so there's two journeys that we're going on when we are doing anything in life. There's always a spiritual journey and our internal growth journey, and then there's the external growth journey of how that internal journey kind of externalizes from us. What actions do we take? What things are we drawn to? What do we learn? How do we grow as people? So when it comes to the law of attraction, the internal journey is about really understanding that magic is real and that magic and science are ultimately the same thing. They're linked and they work very well in this beautiful dance together. And the spiritual aspect is also about, when it comes to magic, it's about understanding just how powerful we really are and how malleable the universe is and just how everything really is based off of how we perceive them to be. And there are nuances to that, but ultimately, that's what the law of attraction is all about. So that's the spiritual journey, that's the inner growth journey that you make. And in order to, okay, so that's the spiritual journey that you make. Now let's talk a little bit about the physical going ons about this. So, the spiritual journey is like we shift our thoughts, we shift our perceptions. But how is that happening physically, or a little bit more physically? So in our brains, we have the conscious brain and the subconscious brain. Just like we have vibrational reality and physical reality, and we have as above, so below, inside ourselves, as above, so below means that anything that is up there is also within us. And everything is a reflection of everything else. And I've talked a little bit about like how we have feminine and masculine aspects within us. We contain everything within us. We really are all, and all really is one. And so when we think about the conscious brain and the conscious brain is that physical reality. What's going on here, what we're perceiving, what we're seeing, how we're acting. And the subconscious brain is the programming that's behind the scenes. It's the vibrational reality. It's what is in your programming that is then, or on the internal side, that is then going out and being expressed in this conscious way. So when we're doing affirmations or any kind of law of attraction work, the goal is always to essentially work with our conscious brain, also reduce the filter that is between the conscious brain and the subconscious brain, because the conscious brain is always trying to protect the subconscious, and vice versa in many ways. And allow ourselves to implant new beliefs into the subconscious that serve us better. Because a lot of what is in our subconscious brain, so basically everything that's in our subconscious brain is what is essentially creating our reality. That's what we are seeing. And we may hold opposing conscious beliefs, but what's going on the subconscious is actually the programming that is programming your perception. And so you want to work with the conscious brain to bypass the filter to implant new beliefs in the subconscious that will change the reality that you are experiencing. And as we grow up in this world, from the moment we're born, we are programmed with beliefs from our parents, from our teachers, from our friends, from our personal experiences, from what society tells us in the media. We're programmed with these beliefs. And the thing about the mind is the first belief that we hold, we put more weight on than any other belief. That's why it can be hard to shift a belief or to accept new information or to accept new facts that could be real facts that oppose something that we hold that we is not a fact, but that is our true belief because it was there first. So what's been put into us is what we often want to change. And you are in some ways kind of fighting with yourself because the beliefs that you hold right now are the ones that were put there first, are the ones that you will hold more weight on and have more resistance if there is something that opposes that, even if that belief is more factual. So essentially the work of the law of attraction is working with your belief systems and trying to reprogram that subconscious belief system so that you're not always having to consciously believe certain things. You start off by consciously trying to change your beliefs, and that then eventually changes your subconscious. And then you don't have to think about it anymore. Your subconscious just runs the program from there on out until you implant something different that is different from that belief. And I do want to say that I know I was talking about, hey, you hold the weight on the first belief that you have about a topic. You hold higher weight on that, and it's harder to bring in new information. I do want to say, though, that you can always change your beliefs. This is very much possible because while it is in our nature to hold on to the first belief that we have, it is also in our nature to be able to shift our beliefs, to be able to adapt. And, when I was studying neuroscience, that's what I did my degree in, I also worked in a neuroscience lab from about the age of 16. And I was in an auditory cortical plasticity lab. And so that was basically about changing the plasticity, changing the wiring of the brain, even in adults. And that is possible. So, and we all know that now, but we didn't know that before because of a previous scientific experiment that the data was right, but the interpretation was extrapolated beyond what it should be. And then we started to believe that old people can learn new things, and that's not true. So anyways, that's just to say that, yeah, we hold more weight on the first belief, but our brains are also designed to adapt and to be plastic, as they say, plasticity, and we can always change our beliefs. It just takes a little bit of work, that's all. And that is the only work that you have to do. You don't have to go out and change things in your world. You just have to change your beliefs internally That is your only job, is to change your beliefs to ones that serve you better, that make you happier. And as you do that, your reality will shift for you. Okay, so now we've like talked about how law of attraction works just in general and understanding that it doesn't really matter what process you use as long as you use one that fits your personality because it's a practice that goes on that you need to be committed to. And so you want to use something that you are excited to do, that is fun for you, that works for you because you're in this for the long haul. If you want to create your reality, you have to be committed to being the artist, to being the sculptor of that reality. Okay, so now let's get into affirmations. So what is the power behind affirmations? If you've ever heard this, you've probably heard this, but whenever you're learning something new, a lot of times the guidance is that you should repeat. Repetition is key because the more times something is repeated, the more it will sink into your brain. And that's why affirmations can be very powerful because you are selecting a wording, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Hopefully, I'll remember that. I don't have the my notes, but I want to talk about that. But you have select wording that you are repeating to yourself for a little while each day, and then repeating that every single day. And repetition, eventually, once you do that over a long period of time, yes, that will shift your conscious brain. Your conscious brain will stop resisting it, and eventually the filters will be down, and it'll pop right into your subconscious brain, and that will be your new belief. So repetition, that's why affirmations are so powerful is it's because it's based on repetition. And that is the way that we learn. And if you look at little kids, if you've ever watched one of the little shows, little kiddie shows, and I especially noticed this when I was growing up because I have younger brothers, and there's like a 4.5 to 6 year difference between me and the two of them. And they used to watch the Teletubbies, and I would watch them watching the Teletubbies, and I just could not get it because they would watch one Teletubby do a certain dance or like do a certain activity, and then they'd be all excited. And then the next Teletubby would be like, oh, it's my turn. And then they would do the exact same thing and they repeat this 4 times. And I'd watch my little brothers just be so excited about it every single time, just like, wait, we already watched this like twice. Like, how is this still exciting to you? But that is really what it is like our brains really like the repetition. And I also want to tie in something else to that. Oh, and then, okay, let me tell you something else about my brothers while we're here. I would go to school and I would see them in the mornings. They'd be watching the movie Homeward Bound. And they watch that movie. I see them watch this every morning before I go to school. And then I would come back and they would still be watching that movie. Okay, school is longer than 2 hours. So they have watched this movie 2 to 3 times in the day while I'm off at school. And they would do this every single day and they just loved it. Because again, repetition is so key. Okay, so now here's the other thing that I want to add about that. We're going to talk about what I'm going to say right now a little bit in just a second as well. But the thing about these repetitious moments for kids is that it's very much tied to emotion. Okay, let me get to that in a second, actually. Okay, so let's talk about repetition. So we're repeating the same affirmations as adults every day. We don't get excited by Teletubbies. We don't want to watch the same movie multiple times in one day over a period of like a month. We're different. You know, we've kind of grown out of that. We've had a lot more stimulation in our lives. We get excited by more things. We get distracted by more things. So the repetition and having that committed practice and your brain knowing, okay, every day Trishna is going to practice this affirmation. She's going to say it for 5 minutes around this time every morning when she wakes up or something every single day. That repetition is powerful. But I have also heard that some people use this technique of saying the affirmation so many times that the words become unintelligible to them. They just start to sound like garbled noises. And that process is using affirmations, saying them a million times over and over and over until the words no longer make sense to your brain. And the thinking around that is you kind of enter into a trance mode when you're just saying the same thing over and over and over and over, and over again. And then when the words start becoming garbled and you don't understand them anymore, your conscious brain no longer pushes against them. Conscious brain doesn't understand what it is, and the subconscious loves like symbols. So the subconscious opens up, the garble goes in, and the subconscious knows. The subconscious is very, very intelligent. It is so smart. It knows what your garble means, even if your conscious brain does not. It's picking up on all these little things that your conscious brain is not really registering. Subconscious is very, very intelligent, very wise. So that's why you must be protected by the conscious brain. So that's another way of, hey, if you're doing the repetition and you like doing that and you maybe want to enhance it just a little bit more, maybe try using a trance where you're saying it so many times it becomes garbled. You kind of get into this trance mode that opens up your subconscious, and your subconscious understands the garbled and it gets implanted into your subconscious. So that's kind of connected to repetition. Now, let me go into the emotions portion of it. So the thing about kids and Teletubbies and watching movies over and over and over again and getting so excited about it is the excitement. They're seeing repetition and Teletubbies doing XYZ a million times. The Teletubbies are happy, they're high energy, and that gives the kids a high energy as well. And so another thing about our brains is a lot of our memories, most of our memories are tied, especially from the past, are tied to a very strong emotion that we were experiencing while we were learning something or having that moment. So maybe there's something really scary that happened to you and you remember that because of the fear. Maybe there's something really happy. Maybe you had the best birthday that your parents threw you, or like your friend gave you one of the best gifts out of friendship or something like that, and you had really strong emotion tied to it. You remember that. And those emotions we carry with us. We carry those memories with us, and we carry the emotions that were embedded with that into our lives, and that's what's creating our reality. So when it comes to the law of attraction, it is about your thoughts. It is about affirmations and the words, but it's also really about the emotions as well. The emotions are kind of the driver. The emotions are also your indicator of, do you believe this or not? So when you're reciting affirmations, the long way about it is to recite them every day and do that every day, and eventually it'll sink in. And you can do that with anything. You don't have to believe what you're saying. Eventually, your conscious brain will cave in and will open up your subconscious, and the belief gets implanted. But that is a long way, because when we recite affirmations, it's really important that we get the wording right. I'm glad I remember that. And that we also believe what we're saying. Because if we don't believe it, the conscious brain resists it longer. But if we believe it, the conscious brain is like, oh, I believe this. This is not a threat. And it allows it to go into your subconscious brain. And it lowers that filter significantly faster. And then your subconscious can take it on faster. And so the affirmations will work much more quickly for you. So if you are doing affirmations and you feel like they kind of take forever to materialize into something, it could be because you're using affirmations that you don't believe in. And again, that will work, but it will only work through longer periods of repetition. Okay, so, all right, bringing this down. So wording. When we were doing yep, okay, cool. Covered pretty much everything. So wording. When we are creating our affirmations and we're using our words, it is important that we understand the feelings that those words generate. And I heard this kind of example in a different context, like in a video that I watched maybe a couple weeks ago. But think about the word pretty, the word gorgeous, and the word stunning. If you were to say, oh, you're really pretty, or if somebody were to tell you, oh, you're really pretty, that gives you a different feeling than if somebody were to say, like, wow, you look stunning, or wow, you're really stunning. Stunning is just this different vibration than the word pretty or even gorgeous. So the words that you use carry a different feeling. And you want to make sure that, because we talked about the feelings and that being kind of important in creating that memory, creating that anchor in your brain of a new belief. You want to be careful about the word, not careful, sorry, you don't have to be super careful. Everything's okay, it's all good. But you want to be selective about the words that you use. You want to feel out what those words feel for you and what are you trying to create in your life? What kind of vibe are you trying to create in your life? What kind of manifestations do you want? What vibes do they have? And what words match those vibes if you're going to be using affirmations? So, feel into your desire. What do you want? How does that feel? What does that look like? And sit with that for a moment and really feel those feelings, and then select the words for your affirmation that bring that feeling back for you, because that will make your affirmation significantly more powerful, again, because your memories and your belief systems are tied very strongly to your emotions. So you want to bring in the emotions that you want, and so that every time that you say that affirmation, it's not just repetition all the time, it has that layer of emotion that it is evoking from you, so that you feel good as you say it, and that makes you continue with your practice, and that makes it easier for your subconscious to really take in and for your conscious brain to really start to believe. Okay, so that's the first part of wording, is the emotions behind it. The second part is, once you create your affirmation of what you want in your life, you've picked the perfect feelings with the words. Sit with that affirmation. If you want to speed up the process, also sit with that affirmation once you have it crafted. And ask yourself and really be honest with yourself about how you feel about that affirmation. Do you believe it? Do you have doubts about it? When you think about it, does it make you almost want to run away from it because you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good when I say that. That's not true, that's not real. And be honest about how you feel about that. All right. Sorry, my throat got dry. So be honest about how you feel about that. It is okay if you don't believe it yet. What you want to do then is you want to find a belief that's not all the way there to where you don't believe it, but a bridge next to it. And you want to maybe focus on that affirmation first. Where, okay, if it's like, so the person who asked me this actually isn't having a lot of confidence when it comes to their appearance. And I think it's more maybe on the weight side of things, but since I was using the example of like pretty and beautiful and gorgeous and stunning, let's say that the person really wants to believe that they are beautiful, because when you believe that you are beautiful, the world will respond to you and validate to you that you are beautiful, and you will truly feel it and people will truly see it. So everything, remember, comes from the internal journey. That is prime, that is key, that is the most important thing. So let's say that you want to be seen as pretty, but you don't have the confidence of that. And because you don't believe that you are pretty, the universe validates you in that. The universe is always supporting your belief system. It's so supportive in that way. It is not selective, it supports you in whatever you choose to believe. So right now you believe, let's say, that you don't believe that you're pretty. Okay, the universe is going to show you evidence of that all the time. People are going to make comments. You're going to see that in the mirror when you look at yourself. Um, it's just going to continuously validate that. You're going to meet people who also don't believe that they're attractive. You're just going to continuously validate what you're telling yourself. So you want to move from, I believe that I'm ugly, let's say. And you want to move from there to, I believe that I am gorgeous. But you don't believe that yet. So what's the next step? So maybe you can believe, hey, um, you want to bridge the belief being like, like this person, maybe there's a person, maybe your mom, my mom loves me. My mom says that I'm really pretty. And maybe I don't believe that, but that's what she says. And, I can listen to that. Or, maybe I'm not super pretty, but I'm also not super ugly. Like, I'm actually kind of in between. Or, something like that. Find a bridge that you do believe that feels a little bit better than what you were feeling before, which is like, I don't have any confidence in my look. So, maybe something, sorry, this is off the fly, so I'm not coming up with the best examples right now, but maybe it could be like, I don't believe that I am very attractive right now, but I do believe that I have the power to change my beliefs. I do believe that even though I'm not confident right now, that I can learn to become confident. I do see in the world that there were people who weren't confident before who have become confident. They practiced it. And I know that I can practice it too. And maybe I believe that it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but I still know that I can do it. And I also know that anything worth doing might have a little bit of a struggle to it. So that right there kind of helps you feel a little bit better. It's like, you're like, I believe that I can change my beliefs. Find something that makes you feel a little bit better and start with that. And then evaluate the next day, okay, do I believe that I'm gorgeous? Still not yet. Okay, where am I right now and how can I make myself feel a little bit better? And that way you are stating your affirmations, but you believe them and they're getting you closer to the ultimate manifestation or the ultimate affirmation that you want to use and put into your subconscious. So that's kind of the way to use affirmations in a way that will skyrocket your success if saying them right now isn't really working to the speed that you would like them to. So I hope that this was helpful. I was thinking, should I give you guys an example of something that I've worked on recently? I will. Okay. So I think in one of my recent videos, I mentioned how I've been attracting like customers at work. I work in sales. And like I had done the work to like get better cold calls and cold emails, but I wasn't getting my customers through that. I was attracting customers, I was attracting abundance, just not in the way that like I had specifically worked on. Okay, well that's changed. So it's been, let's see, we're in the month of October towards the end, so it's been almost 11 months, no, almost 10 months where I have been, sending out cold emails and cold calls, and I've been getting the abundance, like I was saying, but nothing from there. Well, that changed after that video because after that video, I was like, you know what, like, yeah, like I like the way that the abundance is coming, but I do need to start making more cold calls. I really want to get those in before the end of the year so that I can set myself up for a successful 2021 and kind of get some things in motion. So, like, let's look at cold calls and cold emails. And I realized that even though I was sending these cold emails, I didn't believe anybody was going, I still didn't believe, even after all that work, that somebody was actually going to want to respond to that it was ever going to work. And so I started to work on that. I was like, you know what? Like, of course it'll work. Like, people read their emails, people check them. I've checked emails that were cold and found them really interesting. And then I started to follow them, much more closely. Or, sometimes people really hit it and it's like, that's exactly what I need right now. And it's just the perfect timing. And that perfect timing can happen for me. And guess what? Within a few days, I ended up talking to a colleague who said that they had gotten an email template from another colleague and that they felt like it was really going to work. So I was like, oh, I'll take that email template too. And I used that. And then I changed my beliefs and was like, before I sent it out, I was like, you know what? This is a powerful message. It's going to the right person. And like, this is really going to be something that's going to help them. And I truly believe in that. And because I shifted my beliefs around that, 2 days after I sent that, oh no, sorry, but yeah, so like 2 days after I got the email template and then I sent that off and 1 or 2 days later somebody responded saying like, "Oh, I'm interested. Can we set up a call for next week?" I didn't even have to make a cold call. They went straight from email to "I'm interested. Let's meet." And let's discuss this further. So yeah, like really working on your beliefs and really being honest with yourself about where you are. And there is no shame in not believing in what you want. And there's no shame in having to re-believe in things. Like ultimately, it's the internal journey, and that's a lifelong journey, and it just takes really being committed to it. So I hope this is helpful. Thank you guys for watching. Leave me a comment again in the replays. Let me know how this resonated for you, if this was helpful. If you have any questions around affirmations or any other kind of law of attraction process, feel free to ask me. Also, really check out my Law of Attraction playlist. The first 7 videos I created specifically to tell you how to make magic in your life. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.